So, welcome everybody to another episode of The Reluctant Leader. So, I am your host. I am the Reluctant Leader, Gajinder Bogle, and I am joined today in conversation with Sukh Padda, who is from Bodisync. And I am really, really excited about our conversation because not only have I actually been a client of yours, Sukh, but I've been
Mm.
following your journey as well for a little while. And it's just been really, really incredible. And just the brief conversations that we've had about your business, I'm so excited to share your story with everybody. Now, before we begin, Sukh, do you just want to introduce yourself
Mhm.
to everybody listening?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So my name is Sukh Padda. So I run a holistic clinic, Bodysync. So I've been in private practice coming up to nearly 20 years now. And yeah, so we provide a wide variety of treatments for a lot of issues and conditions. And yeah, it's been an amazing 20-year journey thus far.
Wow, 20 years. So
20
20 years in
years.
business.
Yeah, 20. Well, I wouldn't say in business, 20 years since I sort of set up the clinic.
Amazing. Okay, so
Mm.
well, take us back to that day then. So,
Sure.
well, not even that day. Take us back to what you were doing before you started the clinic and what
Mm.
made you want to start the clinic.
Sure. So my interest in health, human body, etc., has always been there. So I actually studied and I graduated in biology. But once I had graduated, I was offered a master's place, etc. But I don't know, it just wasn't for me at that time. Then a friend of mine was doing accountancy, so I went down the accountancy route. I didn't really enjoy accountancy. I'm an Aries, so we sort of get bored a bit quickly, so it wasn't really stimulating enough for me. But then I worked for a lot of telco companies in those days, so the likes of Three, Orange, all of those companies as well. And I started working in sort of accounts in general ledger. Then I moved on to sort of business analysis, and that sort of really struck a chord with me. I actually really enjoyed that because it really, allows you to think more and provide sort of solutions to issues and how an organization can improve, etc. And then I managed to actually get a chance to go into banking thereafter. Again, doing sort of business analysis, I was very corporate focused. Done all of the graduation for business analysis. Then I went into project management and then program management, and I was contracting as well. And I think I got into banking to 2008, so when all of the crisis happened. So
Wow, yeah.
a lot of it was based on sort of regulatory change and regulatory transformation. And I worked across. I spent a number of years in Canary Wharf. Probably worked for virtually every bank there. I think the only one I haven't worked for was Citibank there. But I was really enjoying it. It was really rewarding at the time. But then one of those things. I got married in 2001. Had sort of then we had a family, but because of my banking, it's long hours. It's very stressful as well. And then I wasn't really looking after my health, etc. as well. And it just basically over 20 years ago, sitting in the office, felt a twinge in my back. Just didn't feel right. By the time I got home, that's it. I couldn't walk or do anything. I was literally semi-paralyzed, and that was a journey for me, which not only took me to my lowest point from a physical health perspective, but also from a mental health perspective, because I wasn't getting better. I was trying all these treatments, and I did fall into a depression. Um, at that time, I'd just been married for 3 months as well, so I was very fortunate that my wife really supported me through those early years, but it was really, really bad. And I tried everything. Then holistic medicine was, to me at that time, very mumbo jumbo, because I come from a very fixed scientific background. And when you're in the corporate world, everything is fixed. It's organized. There's a hierarchy of doing things, and holistic medicine just threw that all out of the window. And then I sort of understood, when I was doing biology, I was learning about the human body, parts of it, but holistic medicine just put all the parts together. But it opened my eyes up not only from a physical perspective, but from a mental, emotional perspective. But also, in a weird way, where do I want to go to in my life? Because I was doing this amazing corporate job, which was really good. And, I'm not going to lie, it was very well paid at that time as well. But I wasn't really happy.
Mm.
As it went on, the hours, especially when I had my two boys, I really wanted to spend more time with them. In those days, there was no concept of really working from home. You were very lucky, and especially as a contractor, that was a big no-no anyway. So, but then what I did, I started, I sort of learned and qualified in the treatment that I'm doing now. I started, treating family first, really, and no implication of, setting up a clinic or business or anything like that. It was my sort of escape from, I'd go and do the job, I'd come back and I'd do the treatment. It was my sort of downtime. It really sort of helped me to relax and focus a bit more. But then I started treating a couple of my dad's friends who worked in the airport in baggage, and word got out. Then I started treating a little bit more, a little bit more. And then I thought, okay, it was actually my dad. So my family, my dad always been from a business background. We had a number of shops, as all Indians did at that time, or most Indians did at that time. So we had that business, and my dad always has had that real business sort of mindset. And he said to me, "So you're doing all of this now. Why, people are coming to you, but it's your time, it's your effort. You should, charge as well for your time and your effort." So I did, just a minimal fee at that time, but I was enjoying it. So for a number of years, I was doing the corporate job and my not even a clinic, my treatments at that time was almost more of a side hustle at that time. So I was doing them in parallel. But the more time went on, the more I wanted to do it. I realized I was getting pulled more towards the therapy side of it as opposed to the corporate side of it as well. So I took the plunge, I think it was about 7, 8 years ago, where I quit completely the corporate job and
Wow.
set up my clinic, my business. Even though the clinic was sort of set up, I had all the name and everything. But a real proper business probably about 8 years ago now, fully dedicated to sort of expanding, developing the business, and doing more and more of the healing as opposed to doing any of the corporate work or side by side as well.
That is amazing. That is really, really amazing. And I just love how it's naturally kind of evolved
Hmm, hmm.
and transitioned into where you want to be. And I just want to go back to your family right now because
Hmm.
it's a big thing, isn't it? That, you've got this corporate job in banking, which is quite privileged. And,
Yeah,
for especially in the South Asian community, that's an amazing thing if you've got a job in a bank.
yeah,
It's almost like the
yeah,
job for life.
yeah,
That you're going to have
definitely.
that job for life
Yeah,
and you'll get a great pension and you'll get a great mortgage, you'll get all of the perks of having that job.
yeah,
So then for you to then say that you want to do, and I guess back then what you were doing probably wasn't as well known as it is now. So you're probably
yeah.
coming to them with this completely new concept. How did that land with your family?
Yeah. It didn't land too well initially with my dad, I have to say, because you're right. Look, in my generation, parents either want to become a doctor, an engineer, an
Mm.
accountant, a businessman. So it's a very sort of niche sort of area. So when I was doing biology, my dad thought, okay, yeah, I might go down the medical route, but that didn't happen. Then when I went into the accountancy, okay, yeah, it's going to be accountant, and that didn't happen. Then I went into the banking stuff, and that was the area that I was more involved in, and the area that I worked for in terms of time, number of years, the most. So my dad was really, I was working in this corporate environment. It was prestigious, especially as I worked up from business analyst to project manager to then a program director. So my dad loved all of that, and my family, and it was a very well-paying job. It's very rewarding financially. It allowed me to put my two children through private school and everything. That's another thing. My dad was saying, "Oh yeah, they put his
Mm.
kids through private school and and things like that." So when I said to him, but when he said to me initially, you're doing the treatment, you should be charging from, again, his business mentality sort of mind kicked in. And he always thought, my dad's always one, don't put all your eggs in one basket, have different revenue streams coming in. So he thought it was that. Okay, he's got his main job, he's enjoying this, but there's a revenue stream in there. Let him carry on with that. It's good. But when I said to him, yeah, I want to like completely quit the corporate job and do the treatments, he was like pretty much gobsmacked. Because At the time, I remember he said to me, "This is no disrespect to any massage therapist, anything." He goes, "But you're going to give up a corporate career to become a masseuse, or you're just going to
Mm.
massage people? Well, what's the how South Asian parents and everything, the mentality, they're thinking, and everything. Oh my God, what am I going to say? This, my son's gone from a corporate environment to now massaging people." And you're right, because at that time there wasn't much awareness of holistic medicine, holistic therapy, especially an Indian guy doing it as well, which was, and my dad had, the only perception he had of this was, the massages he's had in India and things like that. So he's, in his mind, he's relating it to that. But I try and explain to him it's more than that, Dad. It's
Mm.
this type of treatment. But for a long time, there was a lot of conflict between me and my dad. And he's always still pushing me to do this, to get back into the corporate world, to get back in there. And he was still sort of pushing me. But then I think my mum really helped in this, because she saw that that's his passion. He's been able to sustain it. So maybe we should, sort of support him as well. And, my wife was there as well, supporting me. And I think over time, my dad saw, well, okay, he is, parents never let you go, but, he is his own man. He is independent. He has got his family. He's got the support of his wife and everything. Then he did start to support me more and more. And, I have been able to develop this clinic and the business side of it as well, because I know as holistic therapists, we're very reluctant to add the name business to what we're doing. But at the end of the day, it is a business as
It is a
well.
business,
And
yeah.
yeah, and if it's not sustainable, you won't be able to do what you want to do and to be able to help people. So, and I was very fortunate that my corporate background allowed me to develop it from a business perspective a lot as well. And, my dad's input and, his knowledge and his guidance as well from a business perspective. And, I've reached out to other friends and then I've got quite a few of my friends who, are business owners themselves, for their advice and everything, because I realized the clinic is one thing, is really good, helping people and stuff. But if the business model isn't right, the clinic is not going to run and the clinic will just go down and it'll be just another statistic. So I think I've, you're not always 100% there, but I think I've done it fairly well to be still in business all these years. And it's a continuous learning area, and I'm continuously learning different ways to do things, different ways to structure the clinic. I was not called Bodisync all the time. I was called Amatsu Health, but I
Oh, sorry,
rebranded
what were you called?
Amatsu Health. So the therapy I do is known as Amatsu Medicine. So I called it Amatsu Health. The little fact there, you didn't know that, you didn't. But
I mean, you know what? I learn so much from people when I have this
yeah.
conversation. I'm like, I've known you for so long. Why have I not known
Why
this?
didn't I know this? Yeah. And then, yeah, it's when I really took the step to really set up the clinic and do it 100%, then I realized, I don't know, it just sort of came to me, I needed to rebrand. So I
Mm.
rebranded the name, the color scheme, the logo, everything, just to, so it's all, name is really important, I think. So it's something that really sticks in people's mind, but it's also a reflection or a representation of what you're about as well. So, we're a holistic clinic, we treat the whole body. So really it's body synchronization. And that is what really Body Sync in a shortened version stands for. And the logo, is all about that as well. The yin, the yang sign in there, the person, the body and everything. So it's all the integration. But I think that's really important as well from a marketing perspective. And getting, you got people like Nike and all of that. So people recognize it. Oh yeah, there's nowhere, I'm nowhere near there. But it's sort of a little bit of brand recognition as well. So I'd say I'm
Mm.
learning all these buzzwords now
You're
as
getting
I'm
there. You're
doing
getting
it,
there.
as I'm developing. Yeah.
And if so, we can go back to, so you didn't used to charge for your services
Mm,
at first. You just mentioned that you used to do it on the side and you used to do it for some friends and your dad's friends and stuff, and you didn't used to
mm.
charge. So what was that moment when you were like, I need to start charging for this now? And
Yeah.
what
I mean,
went through your mind, and what was that kind of part of your life like?
yeah. Twofold really. One was obviously my dad's influence, telling me, look, you're doing this, but it's your time, it's your effort. Then as I was doing a lot more training, I was traveling, all of this costs money. And as when we
Mm.
do all these courses, we make sacrifices as business owners. There's a lot of expense, a lot of cost involved in that, and experience that you accumulate over the years. But then I thought, okay, if I am going to take this plunge and I am going to set this up as a fully functional clinic, it's got to have a sustainable business model in order for me to do that, and that means it has to have a sustainable revenue stream coming in, especially if I'm going to give up my day job to be able to do that. So, I had to sit down and really work out from a financial perspective, what I needed to do, what I needed to charge, etc., to make this a sustainable business going forward. And luckily, my corporate background allowed me to do a lot of spreadsheets, things like that, calculations and things like that came into it. And also, sort of knowledge from my friends as well who were in business and, reaching out to them. And really, I think a lot of some other holistic therapists and people I talk to, they have this reluctance to talk about money, that it's a really big
Yeah.
evil. And, as I said before, if your business is not sustainable, you won't be in business, you won't have a clinic. And I think going into my mindset was different about money because I came from a banking background. So, we surrounded my money and figures.
You had
and
no
things,
problem asking for it.
no problem there. But it was at that time, what is fair, what is right, according to my skill set. But, as in any corporate, as you progress up the corporate ladder, so does your position, so does your remuneration.
Yep.
So as we're going along and, I'm doing more and more courses, my experience is increasing, we're adding more and more treatments and therapies. So that's reflected in the cost structure of what I charge as well. But, since then, we've introduced sort of products, other services in there as well. Because as you're developing the business, first of all, it was just about treating people, and that was it. But then as my knowledge expanded and it grew, to realize, okay, it's not just about treating people. We've got to look at what they're putting in their bodies, how are they emotionally. So that's how then the clinic developed, where we balance emotionally, physically, and internally. But it's not just a physical thing. We have to have other modalities added into that to have that overall healing experience as well.
100%.
And that is a business expansion as well.
Yeah. And I guess, the more money you do earn, even as a holistic therapist, the more people you can help with the work that you do.
Yes. And
I
also,
think people don't get that, do they?
Yeah, they don't. And also, I was very fortunate in the early days because my corporate job, the money that I was earning, allowed me to do a lot of courses, because these courses were not cheap. I was able to do that. I knew a lot of people who were in the same sort of field at that time couldn't be able to do these courses and because money was a constraint. I was fortunate for me that it really wasn't. The only really constraint was time, but I made sure that I made that time to be able to do these courses. Now, as we're going, but that was 20 years ago. So you've got to make what you're charging and cost reflective of what it is now, because obviously, everything's gone up in price and everything like that. But I always want to also make it to a point where it's affordable for people as well. So, we have different rates for children, for example, and things like that. And, we do charity work as well, where we do give back as well. But again, it has to be a realistic business model. Otherwise, you will go under. And COVID was one of those scenarios. So I was very fortunate. We had to close the clinic. We couldn't have anyone coming in. But as fate would dictate, one of my old bosses got in contact with me. Sukh, I've got a 6-month project. Would you be able to come on? I said, well, the clinic's closed, got no money coming in. So why not? It's all working from home. So it allowed me to do that as well. And sometimes it's nice sort of going back into that and using a different part of your brain as well. And just thinking, I've still got some of that knowledge there as well. So it's nice that I have that flexibility, in extreme situations if I need it. Hopefully we've never been that. Yeah, we've never been that COVID situation again. But that was an eye-opener.
And I guess, when you started to charge money for your services, like before you started charging and while you were working in corporate, there's only certain people you can help because there's only a certain number of hours in the day.
Yes.
So then is it right in saying that as you started to charge people, you could actually then help more people because you could actually step away from the corporate world?
Yeah. The way I did it gradually. So first of all, I would do 1 or 2 clients in the evening when I came back. Then as my client base grew, I started doing, on the weekends. As it grew more and more. So when I looked at my next contract for work, I looked at something which was maybe I was only part-time, like 3 days in the office, but then I could dedicate more time to to my clients. I can offer more days. But as the client base, then it got to the point really where I couldn't sustain doing both. I couldn't do the day job and my clinic because the volume of my client base was increasing to such an extent I couldn't do both of them. So I had to make a choice. In some ways, my hand was dealt, but I could have easily said, you know what, no, the money in this corporate one is really good. Yeah, clinic is okay, but no, I'm going to stick with the corporate. But then I thought, you know what, I've got to look at my mental sanity as well. What do I really enjoy? And I thought, you know, I've been so fortunate and lucky to be able to do something I really enjoy and I'm really passionate about. And my passion for the corporate part of it was really waning, probably non-existent by that time, but it was really on the clinic and the medicine. So that's where I said, right, that's it. I'm just gonna quit and dedicate my time and my energy to building up the clinic. And also it's something, you know, you've heard in the corporate world, succession planning and those buzzwords. So both of my sons, without any you know, interference or guidance from me, they're both, you know, doing sports and exercise science and things. So they're really sort of interested in this type of thing. So I'm really putting more effort into the clinic. It's a legacy as well, something for them as well. Where then I'll be at some point stepping more away from the treatment side and they can pick that up. I'll be more into the teaching side of it. Because one thing I'm really passionate about is I really want to get this knowledge out there to people, so that you know, that they can then do, and you know, we have this next level of therapists out there as well, because I've been asked for so many years to do that and I always felt I don't have the right knowledge or experience yet. But now coming up to 20 years, I think I'm at that point where we're going to start doing that. So again, I'm always thinking every year from a business perspective, you know, we sit down, where are we, what's working well, what isn't, how can we change, how can we adapt, you know, and those are fundamental things. I'm doing all of that review now for 2024. We're going to be introducing some new services as part of that, but the ethos is all the same. So whatever we bring in and we do is all about that balance of the person, emotionally, internally, and physically. I get asked a lot of things from different companies to promote different things and bring that in, but if that doesn't go with that ethos,
it doesn't align.
It doesn't. And you know, in the corporate world, you know, if it doesn't align with your mission statement, your ethos, I don't really want to go that way either. So it's that constant reinvention.
Agree with you. Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, that's one of the things why I think I've come to you as a client. Well, actually, I brought my dad first as a client, and then obviously my whole family has been. But the whole thing is that I think with him as well, everyone else was just treating his problem. And it just kept coming back. It was reoccurring. And it was only when we came to you that you looked at everything and treated everything. And now he probably just comes to you because he loves your company.
Yeah. And the way it works is with the treatment as well. You know, you come in for an issue, we do the treatment. Once that issue is resolved, the treatments are there, different with the emotional side, but say from a physical, then it moves from a treatment protocol to a maintenance protocol. It's like, you know, we service a car every year, yeah, and we do that to keep the engine running. So we say to people, view yourself as an engine. So again, what I always try to promote, and I was doing this even before the pandemic, is that proactive model. Don't wait for things to happen, because that's what I did from my own experience. And that's where, you know, it sort of took me. But even with your dad, you know, even with your mum who's talking, and they get that proactiveness now. And your mum was a bit harder, but she's there now. But I think a lot of people get that now, especially since COVID has happened. A lot of people have understood that. Because, you know, we are going to get other viruses and things that are coming, but what's the constant thing? It's us. And I always say to people, even looking at us, even if we go back 50, 60 years, even 100 years, we are the same, essentially. But look how much our environment has changed around us, especially in the last 10 years. It's phenomenal how fast
even down to food and stuff,
even down to food and what we put into our bodies, you know, how active we are, our thinking, our mindset, everything has changed. And I see that in the younger generation as they're coming through as well.
And do you know what I love when you talk about the younger generation? I love that your sons are going down the same path. And actually they're doing it so much sooner, and it's almost because you've paved the way for them.
Yeah. And I've always said to my sons, I mean, my sons, unfortunately, they never had a choice. They were born into this. I mean, when I qualified in 2004, that's the year my eldest son was born. So they've
Wow.
always had this around them, which is why I thought when they want to do what they want, they might do something totally different. But they've seen me work in the corporate world, in the banking world. They've seen me work in this world. So I've said to them, look, it's your choice. Whatever you want to do, me and your mum will support you 100%. But do something that you will enjoy and you'll get satisfaction
Mm.
from. I mean, at that point when I got into this, there wasn't really much choices. And to be honest, after I graduated, I was lost. I didn't know really what to do. Then accountancy came. I went into that. Then that wasn't really what I wanted to do. Then I went into the corporate world. Yeah, I did that for a number of years, but then I realized that's not really me. Doesn't really define me. And then I say to people, sometimes things happen in life for a reason, and my back going probably was that catalyst for
Was that
this was
kick from
my
the
journey.
universe?
Yeah, is that kick from
Yeah.
within? Yeah, to get in there. And I still got a lot of friends who are in the corporate world, and when we talk, they always say, "Oh, you're so lucky. You're able to do something you really enjoy and stuff." And I never take that for granted. I am very, very fortunate in the position that I am, to be able to do
But
what
you
I
took
really
the
love.
right steps, right? Because
Yeah,
you could have
yeah,
stayed in corporate. Like
yeah,
everybody else, you could have stayed in corporate,
yeah,
but you decided to walk down the path, least
yeah.
walked.
Yeah, and it
To
is a big risk, and
Mm.
it was a risk. I'll be honest with you. It's when you're doing that from a financial perspective, you don't know how this is going to pan out, and it was. But I think one thing I've learned, and even my dad, when he was doing business, he always says, "So you've got to take risks. If you don't take risks, you'll always have regret." So that was one of the things. But it wasn't all plain sailing. I remember when I had a contract come up, said, "No, got my clinic set up. I'm going to do that." Sat there, had a brand new phone line, everything. Not one single phone call. And I was
Yeah.
advertising. In those days, we were advertising in newspapers and gyms and things like that. Nothing. So I had no money coming in. My wife was on maternity leave, so it was like, oh my god, you know. So
What have I done?
lessons
What
learned.
have
Yeah,
I done?
lessons learned. These things
Yeah.
do sort of happen, and and one of the things with businesses, I've had sort of lulls, and I've had peaks, and as long as you've got a good business model there, you're able to handle that. And because even as a contractor, there were periods where we wouldn't get a contract. So I was in a way sort of used to that. We made sure financially there was enough always there to cover yourself and things like that. So I think those were, I mean, I don't begrudge my corporate life or what I learned from it, because it's been amazing skills that I've learned from that, which I've been able to transfer into my clinic and the running of my business now as well. And now when I do treat a lot of people who are from that banking environment. I sort of understand where they're coming from, the mindset of what they're going through, because I've been there myself. So I do understand the challenges.
Yeah, I get that. And do you know what? Talking of kind of challenges, what would you say has been your biggest challenge in business?
Um, my biggest challenge has really is it's
Is
getting
there just
clients.
one?
It was initially getting clients, and then because
Yeah.
when I qualified, and this I go, oh my god, this treatment is amazing. That's it. I'm going to have queues of people lining up. Brilliant.
Right. That's what you
They're all
think.
going to
You think
come.
you're going to
Yeah,
have 100 customers overnight.
yeah. And reality is completely different. So that was my difficult
Mm.
challenge. And also challenges where I wasn't getting the clients, then it does have a mental impact. Oh my God,
Yes.
have I done the right thing? Then self-doubt starts to creep in. I know my
And then
wife,
the
everyone's
bills start to
supporting
come
me. Yeah.
in.
Yeah,
And
bills.
you're
And then
like,
you still feel
because
guilty.
life
You
still
think,
carries on, right?
yeah, life still came. The
The
bills are
bills
not going
don't
to
wait
stop.
and the bills
Yeah.
don't wait and say, "Look, let's wait until you get some clients in and then we'll send the bills."
Exactly. But then we send the bills. And it was like that, I had a young family then, and it was, oh my God, what have I put them into and stuff. But, I couldn't have done it without my wife, who supported me all the way
Mm.
through. And, we were able to get through that and build up. But then the other thing, I'm old school. So, over 80% of my clients are referrals. Then there's only my sons who said, and this is the beauty of the younger generation. They're so tech savvy. It's unbelievable. They say, Dad, you're a bit of a dinosaur. Get onto social media. I didn't even know
On
what it was.
Instagram.
I was never on, was it
Didn't they
MySpace or
even push
whatever
you to have
before.
your photo shoot here?
Yeah, yeah. They're the ones who said, Dad, your picture's a bit dated. Go and get a proper. That's when I got in contact with you, and we had that done. But they then got me onto Instagram and stuff. And now I understand the value of that in terms of getting your profile across and showing people what you do
Mm.
and how we can help. And I think from a business perspective, yeah, it's been really fantastic on that. But also I get messages from people saying, I didn't realize there's any treatments for children or babies, or I had this
Yeah.
issue. I didn't realize. So to get that awareness out and the people know actually there is something out there that you can help with, that to me has been a real game changer in terms of what we're doing. And also the brand awareness, getting the name. I mean, I don't want to sound big-headed or anything like that. I'm nowhere near fame, but I've been somewhere like to Wembley Arena. Someone, like, oh, you're Sukh from Bodisync, and stuff. So people do recognise you and do sort of see you. So that's really good. That all the effort and then the work that you're putting in, people are relating to it and
Yeah, it's
seeing
getting
it. So
recognized.
that's quite good as well. Yeah.
So then how about your biggest transformation? So what have you been like? What's been the absolute highlight of your business so far?
What's been the highlight? There's quite a few, but I think the biggest change in everything is it with it being within me, the change in my mindset or how I look at things or how I approach things. Because I was very blinkered, very corporate. That was it. But now
Mm.
I look at the sayings we have now. Look outside the box and things. Say that I treat holistically, but my viewpoint is holistic now as well. And I think in a way with my dad as well, I'm starting to look at 3, 4, 5 years down the line. Before I wasn't, I was very, day to day type of thing. But I think that's been my biggest change is my mindset, how I'm viewing things, how I'm structuring things, how I'm looking more into the future now. And I think part of that is also driven by, I know my son's hopefully one day will take over that clinic. So it's that succession planning and everything. I never used
Mm.
to really think like that as well. And also getting my head out of that corporate sort of world and into that healing sort of modality. And also, I did have a little bit of a point where I was feeling a little bit guilty about charging and things, and that sort of that sort of guilt sort of creeping in as well. But then you have to sort of take a step back and really, and I think that comes with experience, with age, with wisdom, shall I say, as well. So all of those things, but it's everything that's happened to me. I think happens for a reason, and it's all led me up to this point where I am now, and hopefully it'll just continue to grow. And also, if people are really embracing holistic medicine, we're doing a lot more around emotional healing, emotional well-being. There's so much of that out there, especially with men. So really want to get in that, and with children, start them young. As I said,
100%.
people are,
Mm.
BBC had an article the other day that mental health and things like should start in children as young as 5. That's not to treat them, but to create that awareness. And that's what I want to do, because with this brand awareness and everything and people knowing you, is to have that platform to create awareness for these types of issues as well, and to help communities like that as well, which I think is powerful.
Amazing. I love that. And one topic I really want to touch on, Sukh,
Hmm.
is so we are both from a very corporate background,
Mm,
and we are probably very scientific in, we're very logical, methodical, all of that kind of stuff in our thinking.
mm,
But then we came across mumbo jumbo,
mm,
as you would call it. My
mm,
husband calls it hocus pocus, but it's
mm.
basically spirituality
Yeah,
and intuitiveness. And
yeah.
we've both been on that journey, and we're both on that journey. And,
Mm,
we've seen that change in us.
mm,
Can you talk to me a little bit about your transition from basically this really corporate logical thinking
mm,
into a bit more of a new age thinking
mm,
and allowing yourself to be seen as somebody that is actually a healer?
mm. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about challenges the other day, a few minutes ago. That's probably been the biggest one. But I think even from a young age, I've always had this spirituality, and people may go, "Oh, go here we go," but I've had out of body experiences, things like that. But when I talked to my parents about it, they were like, "Oh, what are you doing? No, no, it's all in your head." You know,
Yeah.
they suppressed it.
Imagining
They
things.
suppressed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're imagining things
Just
like
need
that
to go
doesn't
sleep.
happen.
You're
Yeah,
watching
go
too
to
much
sleep and
TV.
stuff like that. Yeah, we're going to stop your TV and stuff like that.
It's EastEnders. EastEnders
He
is the
said
root cause of
had that.
everything.
But I've always had this, and I can never explain it, and I never understood it because no one around me understood what it was. So there was no one there to speak to me about it. And then it almost got suppressed as I grew older and things like that.
Mm.
Like when you're a teenager, then you're going to go to your mates. Oh, listen, I think I've got this spiritual awakening in me. They just think you're mad. It's
They'll be like, they'll think you smoked something or
yeah,
something.
or something like that. What are you on? So it really, really got suppressed. But when I injured myself and I was going through my healing journey and I went through my depression, it awakened. And I realized, wait a minute, this isn't just physical. There was stuff I was releasing emotionally from years and years ago. And at that time, I still didn't understand it. When I was going through my treatment, I didn't understand it because the guy who was treating me at the time wasn't really into the spirituality, the mental. He was into just the physical, holistic medicine, which was fine. But even that, the release of that physical was releasing the spirituality in me. So to me, it's never been an alien concept or a new concept. I knew I had it in me all that time, but due to circumstance and people around me, it was suppressed for many years. But now it's on fire. That's the only way I can describe it. And you being here, we've done the emotional release, and so you know the power of this stuff. But I
So
still get it
powerful.
with a lot of people. They're like, "What you mean you tune into my inner wisdom?" That's a load of mumbo jumbo,
Mumbo
as you
jumbo.
put it and stuff. I respect people's opinion, but then I say, don't really knock something until you've tried it. Try it.
100%.
See
Yeah.
what you think. If you still think like that, that is absolutely. I get a lot of couples coming in, husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, and it's always 9 times out of 10, it's always the lady who's having the treatment. And then the partner's always, yeah, don't really believe in any of this. I just came here, just give
So
me
me and
money.
my husband.
Yeah, pretty much. And I say that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Then obviously we go through the treatment. Then he's noticed some changes in his partner. And then the conversation goes along the lines of, so there's nothing really wrong with me. Just give me a bit of an MOT. Yeah, and you're always going to find something. And then it sort of connects with them because it goes into that emotional healing side. And then it empowers them more. But for me, that's beautiful because now someone else gets it. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't work in all scenarios. There's still people. But I think it's also, I say to people, a lot of the time, partners except say, I'm going to drag my dad, it won't work unless the person is open and willing themselves. That's the only way it will work. There's quite a few of my friends who I've never treated because they are not that way inclined yet. Some of my friends are more so. And I think it's harder for some of my friends because they've seen the other side of me. They think, Sukh the healer, I don't know about that. So, but they're coming around to it more. The more they see it as well. But the spirituality, I think is really big now, and people are getting it, especially the
Easier. It's a little
mind-body
bit easier
connection.
now, isn't it?
It's easier. But listen, no matter what you do, there's always going to be people who don't get it, people who don't want to get it, people who doubt it. I also find in a lot of those people, they're the ones at the moment who are not at that point in their life where they're willing to open themselves.
They're not ready.
They're not ready to let that in. And I respect that. I've had to call them, people ring me. I had your card 3 years ago. I'm ready to start my journey. Powerful. Come in and let's start. And it is a journey. And this treatment, it's not like you have one treatment, when your second one, you go back to zero. It's not, it's cumulative. So the second one is going to build on your first one. Your third one is going to build on your second one. That's what we're doing. We're building those layers of balances. At the same time, we're stripping away layers of imbalances. And that's why it's so powerful. So much stuff comes out. Sometimes people are sort of reluctant or a bit afraid of what's going to come out, especially with guys, with men. But I always say that's part of the healing journey. Imagine you want that taken out of you. You don't want it inside you, festering
Because they
away.
do hold on to more, don't they?
Yeah.
Like
And
women,
we've
we
been
got
brought up
other
like that.
women.
Yeah, especially my generation, we've been brought up like that. Like my dad, what do you mean crying? You're a man.
What do you mean
Man up.
talk? What do you want to talk about?
You're a shit. You're lying. What do you mean talking about it? And even with my friends, we're going to be doing the podcasting with 3 of our friends, 2 of my friends. We talk about mental health. But take away when we're in our 20s or 30s. If I said, "Oh, Bob, I've got this," why are you telling me have a drink? It wasn't. We're in that, but it's not just the South Asian community which is like that. I've seen a lot of other Afro-Caribbeans, English, from up north with that stiff upper lip type of thing. Get on with it. But all we're doing is suppressing it to cause issues later on in life. And then business owners, how much stress there is owning a business. You never switch off. Your mind's constantly going.
How much we hold on to is honestly so much.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So Sukh, if you were not Bodisync, would you still be in the bank?
Yes. Short answer. Banking, I don't know, but I'll be in the corp. I think now, if I went back, I'll probably move from banking to like these tech startups,
Oh,
AI
cool.
and things
Even
like
though
that.
you're
I
not a
do
tech
like that.
person
I'm not a tech person, though, but
at all.
oh, that's another fundamental change. I'm becoming a little bit more tech savvy now. I mean, like today, I just realised my monitor can move, so that's
Yeah, we just learned
I
that today,
learned
didn't
something.
we?
I learned that today, but no, I'll probably be around about that because I think the
Oh,
way technology is going, artificial intelligence and things like, and one of the
yeah.
things is I do traditional medicine. Some of this is over 5,000 years old and things we do that, but I love combining it with modern technology
Yeah.
where it allows, which is why we do work with Western medicine. We do, and one of the things as part of the emotional healing that we're going to offer in the new year, I'm going to actually integrate it with virtual reality. So we're gonna do
Ooh.
traditional the healing that you went
Better
through
make my
yourself,
appointment.
yeah, and we're going to do it with virtual reality. So, quick example: if you're afraid of heights or flying, you'll have the virtual headset, so you're in that aeroplane, you're in that virtual environment. Why we do the emotional healing with you? So that's a beautiful
Wow, that is going
sync
to be a
between.
game
It's going to
changer.
be amazing, and
Absolute
and
game
I'm really
changer.
looking forward. And we're going to be able to offer that remotely as well, which is because I know a lot of
Wow.
people, because of distance and stuff, cannot come to see us. So I'm looking at another part of the business sort of way of thinking is how we can get what we can do to help people remotely as well. So
Mm.
that's going to be
I
one of the
love that.
things.
And I love that you're bringing in the old and the new, like they're
Yeah,
coming
I
together.
really love,
Like ancient wisdom with
yeah.
modern tech is
Yeah,
absolutely
and why
amazing.
not use it? It's there,
Mm.
and it's always about what's best for the person who've entrusted their health in your hand. So I might say sometimes, yeah, you may probably need a knee replacement because of quality of life. There's not much we can do, but we can help you pre-op and post-operatively. So it's
Yeah.
always in what's in the best interest of that person.
And I
And I
guess
think
it's
the VR,
holistic, isn't it? It is
yeah,
holistic,
yeah, it
working
is
with
holistic.
Western medicine
Exactly.
holistically.
And I think with the VR thing, I think that'll be really good also with the next generation, the younger generation, the children, they get it more and things
100%.
like
And
that as well.
5,000 years ago, because airplanes weren't invented
Hmm,
then, things like fear of flying wasn't around.
wasn't
So you
around.
have to use more cutting
Yeah,
edge
yeah,
treatments to help support that.
to do
Even
that.
with social media, there's so much trauma and
Oh,
anxiety
yeah, yeah,
attached with social media that
yeah.
sometimes you need some new age things to support with
To
that.
do that. As I mentioned before, our environment has changed so much, but we're still the same human person. So that's
Mm.
why I think, to your point correctly, with the VR, we're tapping into some of those environments which have been created now that we're living in
As
to help.
evolution, right?
Yeah, as
Yeah.
evolution. Yeah,
Time's just gone on.
evolution in therapy. Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. And my final question to you, Sukh,
Hmm.
if your business took over the world, what would the world look like?
I would hopefully say more balanced, more peaceful, more loving, more tolerant. I think we need a lot of that right now in every
So
aspect.
much. And can you see how if you did charge more and work with even more people, how much more of this balance and harmony and peace you could
Yeah,
actually bring to the world? That's
definitely.
amazing.
Which is why I want to go into the teaching,
Yeah,
get more people
100%. Get
out
more
there,
people, that ripple
spreading,
effect
yeah, exactly, to out there
gets
because I think
amazing.
the world needs a lot of healing,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Sukh. Thank you so much for
Mm.
stepping into your healer, stepping into this healing journey. And you've transformed the life of me and my family as well, just through the
Thank
healing,
you.
which
It's
has
really,
been absolutely incredible. And lots of people around me as well, which has been absolutely amazing. So thank you for all the work that you do. And if there is anything that you could finish off with, maybe inspiring other people that might be in your journey, that
mm.
might know that they're a secret healer but don't know how to bring it out into the
Mm.
world and stuff, is there any advice or anything that you can offer anyone listening?
I always say, look, my inner healer was always suppressed, but I think a lot of it is I have people who think I've had people come to me think, Sukh, I've had these visions, these thoughts. I don't know, I'm really scared. And I say, that's your psychic abilities. And I always say, embrace it. It's
Mm.
nothing alien. Talk about it. There's so much more out there now. So people are much more open to it as well. And by all means, if you need some sort of direction, get in contact. I'm always happy to help and offer whatever guidance I can because I've been through that journey. I know how difficult and lonely it can be. So wherever we can help, I'm happy to do that as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Sukh. And I've put your contact details at the bottom of the screen. What is the best form of contact to actually connect with you?
Best form is probably going to be email, or just DM us on our socials. We put a lot of things out there as well, so that's probably going to be the two best avenues.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sukh. Absolutely loved this conversation with you. Hope everybody listening has enjoyed it as well. So I am Gajinder Bogle. I'm the Reluctant Leader, and I was joined by Sukh Padda from Bodisync. So thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Gajinder. Thank you for giving me the
Thank
opportunity.
you.
Thank you.